Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rainy Night Random Tales. When it rains, people tend to have wild thoughts. What are they thinking about? Hey, I guess 8 out of 10 are thinking about how to get a free lunch. Whether it's buying a lottery ticket in the hope of winning 5 million, or thinking about which virtual currency will soar overnight, or at the very least, some shopping app has a bug that allows you to buy for free. Who hasn't had such thoughts? It's human nature. But as the old saying goes, all the gifts of fate are already marked with a price in the dark. You think you are the chosen one who will encounter the one in 10,000 good things. But what if? What if what you get is not a pie, but an iron weight that you can't even catch? Today, I'll tell you all a story about the free lunch. There was a family in England, the old white family of 3, just like us, living a cozy life with wives and children. That night, cold and wet, the family gathered around the fire to entertain an old friend, Master Morris, who had come from afar. The old man was no ordinary one. He had been in India for more than 20 years, traveled far and wide, seen the world, had a little drink, and began to talk. No, he began to talk about the strange and unusual things he had in the East. As they went on, they talked about a strange thing, the monkey's paw. Everyone got excited when they heard it. The master sergeant, too, pulled something out of his pocket. Just that thing, dry and smacked like a spoiled chicken claw, black and mummified. He said, "This is no ordinary monkey claw. An old immortal has recited a 7749 day spell to fulfill 3 human wishes." When Old White heard this, his eyes lit up and he said, "Brother, you've made the vow. This thing is no use to you. Just give it to me." The master sergeant's face changed at that moment, and he said to him seriously, "Brother, I advise you not to take it. This thing is evil. If you make a wish randomly, the consequences will be no joke. I advise you to throw it in the fire right now." You see, that's human nature. You may say you don't believe, but your body is honest. How could Old White bear it? He insisted on coming over. Before leaving, the master sergeant specifically instructed that when making a wish, one should hold it in the right hand and speak it out loud. What is it called? This is called user agreement and disclaimer. They have already informed you of the risks. If you insist on clicking "I have read and agreed," then if something goes wrong later, you can't blame them. As soon as the master sergeant left, the family gathered around the monkey's paw to study. Old White's mind came alive as he remembered that he owed the bank 200 pounds for buying the house. He raised his monkey's paw solemnly and shouted, "I want 200 pounds. His son was overjoyed beside him, thinking that the old man was senile. But before his laughter died down, Old White, with a "oh," threw his monkey's paw on the ground. His face turned pale and said, "It moved. Just now it twisted like a snake in my hand." The atmosphere in the room changed. Outside, the wind was blowing loudly, making the doors and windows bang, and none of the family dared to speak. But the next day, as soon as the sun came out, people became more courageous. The fear of last night vanished, and the family made a joke about it at breakfast. But Old White felt a bit uneasy in his heart. In the blink of an eye, it was evening, and the old couple were about to have dinner when the door rang. A stranger came, dressed in a suit and tie, looking particularly solemn. As soon as he opened his mouth, it was a thunderbolt. Their son, while working in the factory, was sucked in by the machine, man. It's gone. The old couple were stunned, as if struck by lightning. Seeing them like this, The man went on to say, out of humanitarianism, considering that your son has also served the company is willing to give a pension as compensation. Much? Old White asked, trembling. How much? The man replied, 200 pounds. Listen, 200 pounds. Here comes the money. No more, no less, exactly 200 pounds. How did you get it? In exchange for one's life. This is the joke that the monkey's paw plays on you. It fulfills your wishes, but in the way you can least afford it. It's not Aladdin's lamp. It's a contract signed by the devil, full of unfair terms. If you want money, you can trade your most precious things for it. After your son is buried, you can't live this life. The house was lifeless, and the old couple looked at each other in silence, and each day seemed like a year. A week passed like this. One night, the old lady suddenly went crazy and shook Old White awake, shouting, "Monkey claw! Where's the monkey's paw? You didn't throw it, did you?" Old White said he was on the shelf in the living room and asked what she was doing. The old lady was crying and laughing, looking crazy, and said, "Make one more wish. Let our son come back." My son. Is the old lady sensible at this moment? She wasn't sensible. When a person is blinded by great grief, no reason can be listened to. She didn't think about what her son would be like when he came back. She just thought, what I lost must be brought back to me. It was no longer love. It was an obsession, a gamble against fate, and she had lost her eyes. Old White was terrified to death, but seeing his wife's pale face, knowing that he couldn't persuade her, he took the monkey's paw and, trembling, made a second wish. I wish my son a resurrection. No sooner had he finished speaking than the monkey's paw dropped to the ground with a snap. The room was so quiet that one could hear one's own heartbeat. The old couple just waited 1 minute, 10 minutes, an hour. Nothing happened. Old White had just breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that the thing might have failed. Just as he was going downstairs to look for the candle, there was a knock on the front door. The sound was faint and weak, but it was audible especially clearly in the dead silence of the night. The match in Old White's hand dropped in an instant, and he was so frightened that he lost his soul. Then there was another one. He came to his senses, rolled, and crawled back upstairs and shut the door tightly. But the knocking grew louder and more urgent, as if it were going to tear down the whole house. The old lady heard it too, screaming and jumping out of bed. "It's my son. It's my son coming back. I forgot. The cemetery is 2 miles away from home, and it will take him some time to walk back. I'll go and open the door." Old White held her tightly and shouted, "For God's sake, don't let him in." The old lady struggled and wept. "Are you afraid of your son? Let me go." She broke free, rushed downstairs, and began fiddling with the bolt. Old White heard the clattering of the chain and the creaking of the bolt downstairs, and he knew it was over. At that moment, there was only one thought in his mind: find the monkey's paw. He lay down on the ground, fumbling frantically, and the knocking at the door had turned into a banging sound, each one more violent than the last. He heard his wife bring in a chair and step on it to reach the top latch. Just as his wife was about to pull out the last pin, Old White found the cold, shriveled monkey claw. Without a second thought, and with all his strength, he made his third and final wish: "Son, go back." In an instant, the knock on the door stopped. The whole world fell silent. Downstairs came the sound of the door being opened, A gust of cold wind rushed in, followed by the old lady's long, disappointed, and painful wailing. Old White summoned up his courage and ran downstairs, only to see his wife standing at the door. Outside the door was an empty street, with only a dim yellow street lamp shining on the silent and desolate road. There was nothing. The door opened, and there was nothing outside. Did you say that the son was obedient and went back? Or was the third wish the old man made just to make that thing disappear? Where's the most chilling part of the story? Not the shriveled monkey's paw, nor the monster that might be outside the door. The most terrifying thing is the wishing black hole in the human heart. The first wish stems from greed. The second desire stems from obsession. The third wish stems from fear. You see, greed, obsession, fear, every one of them is something in one's own heart. The monkey's paw doesn't give you anything of its own. It merely materializes the most primitive desires in your heart, and then shows you how these desires push you step by step into the abyss. It's like a mirror that doesn't reflect the ghost, but yourself. So, don't always think about taking shortcuts, because at the end of shortcuts, there are often cliffs. A down-to-earth life is better than anything else. Well, that's all for today's Poisonous Chicken Soup. Thank you for listening to our rainy night chat. Next time, let's continue.